We said it all before. How could you have two different lives for one person?
We did it. Let's go.
Eyes hurt and pain. Who say when it won't be the same? From San Diego to Georgia, Chi-Town to Indiana. We loved up, came up, and now we here. If you a Nugent, you gon' win. So mates to the end. I bruised you, you bruised me, but baby, we're not broken. I bruised you, you bruised me, but baby, we're not broken. I bruised you, you bruised me, but baby, we're not broken.
But baby, we're not broken.
I knew I was getting older today. I was in the car with Eli and Eden. You know the song Meet Me in the Club. I was like, this was a song back in the day. And Eli was like, no, auntie. And I'm like, what? Like, that was weird. Yeah. It's a good song.
I tell y'all, man, it's good to be with y'all on this Thanksgiving. I mean, my daughter, my other daughter, my grandboys, my son, man, this is really awesome. You know, so you chilling, man. So how you feeling, Eli?
You could sit with them grapes.
You just
want to play, don't you? You like playing?
You want to play? Yeah. You like your grapes, man?
As long as he got food, then he good.
That's it. That's all. Let's go ahead and hit your granny up. I'm pretty sure she's going to want to say hello to you guys.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
Thanksgiving 2020.
Heck of a year, right? Heck of a year, man.
Yep.
I almost done with it too. It's really fast. I didn't expect about this fast.
Yeah, it flew. It definitely flew. Y'all know I ain't most FaceTime. Actually, because of you and the kids, I FaceTime the most. Ain't that right, little man? You like Paul? You said ridiculous. Paul.
He's a talker. He's a faker.
Yeah. He's a shy.
Hello. I did. Happy Thanksgiving once again, wife. I did. People want to say hello.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
Eli.
Eli, easy.
I don't
Eli.
Eden say hey.
Eli's cranky right now.
Well, that was more energy right there. The word just said happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. You want?
Hello, mother. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Nothing. Everybody say hey.
Eli, turn around.
What up, B?
I'm working this camera. I'm working this camera. Everybody.
I got it.
All right.
Hello. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Yeah, they got the food. Kirk did this thing. He enjoyed it. Kirk gave it to them. Whatever. Oh, no, most market. Yeah, they was out.
Yeah, they was out.
That's a whole nother conversation.
So packed.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation right there.
I'll just put it edited.
Are you still recording right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, edit. Happy Thanksgiving, hey Granny. You got some eyeshadow on. I see that. You look nice, Granny.
Hey, Granny. I'll be back for my pie. I will be back for my pie.
Pie, I got the pie.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Mama had given me this. It is a dress. Hey, Granddaddy. We said the same time. We both got excited. Hey, Jasmine. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, nice. You probably gave in.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Love you much.
Alrighty.
All right.
Y'all enjoy.
We definitely will. Bye-bye. Yeah, man. I always knew though. Ever since I was a kid, you know what I mean? Even when I first came to your mama, have my baby. You know what I mean? I always knew I was supposed to be a pops, man. Then we turned to grandpops, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I'll be a great grandfather one day.
Yeah. Ain't that something? Ain't that
You want to
something?
eat it now. You're not going to do that.
Then I got a little Kurt over here, Junior. We're gonna have a Junior.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna make it do what it
Is
does.
he gonna name him Curtis?
Are you going to do that?
Are you naming his son
Are you going to
Curtis?
get Curtis third?
Think.
You think?
I
You're not sure?
don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Let me determine.
All right. All right. Boom. That's it.
I'm not even here.
Yeah, that's why I said yes.
Do you see me?
No, not with this picture. That's the truth. That's the truth. You see, it's something different. Okay. Day two. OMG, day two. Why did I say yes? I don't know if y'all can see this beautiful background of me children. This was 2010. No, this is New Year's Eve. Yeah, New Year's Eve, 2009, going on 2010. And this is 10 years ago now, basically. And this is why I said yes, not even knowing why I said yes when I said yes when it came to have my baby. Let me first and foremost say I was 15 years old and I was foolish. Foolish as foolish can be. What type of 15-year-old child telling anybody to have my baby, but yet and still, I was that child. I was that child for a reason. I'm trying to get this backdrop right for all my children to be shown. But why I said yes, man. Why did I ask this young lady, this child, looking back at her, right, to have my baby? And because I wanted a mother. I wanted a baby. And I wanted a mother to my child. I just ain't want a child, but I know I needed nourishment for my child because I knew I couldn't do it. Why? Because I was a child myself. And I make that make sense and let the church say amen, because it is true. It is my spirit. This is my honesty. But to put some understanding to it, right? I remember like it was yesterday. It was me, my mother, and my sister in the car. I had to be maybe 9 or 10 years old. And for those that's watching, especially for those with young kids, man, y'all will leave an impression on your kids by what you say, especially if they can connect to what you're saying. It goes back to identity. I think we talked about that on day one. But I remember me, my mother, my sister. My mother and my sister was talking. I'm in the backseat. We was driving home. And I remember they was talking about life. They was talking about kids, whatever. And me and my sister is 6 years apart. So if I was 9, she was 15, right, at the time. And I remember my mother saying that, I don't know about you, Angie. I see you having a family, all that. But Curtis going to be the one with the kids. Curtis going to have the kids. And I remember she saying that, and I connected.
Hello, everybody. I am back in the booth. This is day two. Day two, we are here. And here's my background. It says, he chose me. I thought this was the perfect background. He chose me. This is how I felt doing day two experience. He chose me. So let's talk about Christmas again. 27 years ago, Christmas. Curtis asked me to have his child. And you would have thought that I would have been screaming and hollering like, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. But I I don't even remember how he asked me. I don't remember how it went. I don't even remember the moment. I just know that he gave me I think he gave me a piece of paper that said, that's what I think. I could be wrong. But I thought that he gave me a letter or a piece of paper that said, would you have my baby inside of my birthday gift? I think it was something like that. And when I saw it, I wasn't even shocked. I wasn't surprised. I don't know why I wasn't in shock. I just wasn't. I mean, I ain't really been scared of nothing too much in my life. So I was just like, yeah. I just said, yeah. And I even gave him a birth control pills. It's crazy. So I gave him my pills, and that was my way of saying yes. Why did I do that? I cannot tell you. I felt chosen. I felt like he chose me. And nobody else has ever asked things of me like that. So I think I was excited that he even asked something so special. Now I didn't even want no kids. I didn't want no kids. I was running the streets. I ain't had time for that. I never really thought about having kids, and I definitely never thought about marriage. Those two things just was never on my mind. I never was that type of little girl that just hoped for the family, the marriage, the kids. I never sat back and dreamed like that. My dreams wasn't like that. My dreams was different. They was like, I don't know. I think I was just thinking about what could be for me personally. Like I can be better, or I can have a better life, or I couldn't even see that far to even think like that. So I can't tell you. I'm sorry, this booth is
I
really hard.
connected so deeply to it because I knew it was true, and I knew that this was my identity. I knew it before she said it. She like confirmed it, and I can't express it enough, man. You got to be conscious of what you tell your kids because what she stated was so true, and I connected to it. I just remember thinking like, yes, I want a family. I want a family. I want what I'm living. You know what I mean? I want what I'm living. And I was living life, I guess, as a child. At 9 years old, I was I was living life as a child. I remember my dad, man, he played so much of a part of my life, still does, but he played so much of a part of my life of I want to be like him. Fellas, let's represent. I want to be like him. And I wanted to be like this man. I seen this man and it was cool. And he was my dad. And then I seen my mom. She was so loving. She was so humble. And that's why I knew that I wanted a kid, but I wanted a not a wife at the time, but a baby mama to be able to pour into what the way I was poured in a sense. You know what I mean? But I do remember, I bring all this up because this is why I said have my baby, because I found love. I found love still young, but I found love finally. And I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, but I knew what I knew, and I knew I wanted Aisha. I knew I wanted her. I knew I wanted her to be a part of me always. And she said yes. She said yes. And on day one, we talked about Christmas gifts. I remember, I think I said on day one, I gave her 2 Christmas gifts. She gave me 2 Christmas gifts as well. And one other Christmas gift was her birth control pills. And it was like, yes, okay. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And thank God, man, she gave me that, right? Thank God she gave me that because it made me feel like I was loved. And at that time, I wanted to feel like I was loved. Yes, my mom's loved me. I felt that love. Yes, my dad loved me. I felt that love.
So this
But
booth
I
is
want to
really
feel
hard. And I'm in here by myself, but it's still hard. I cannot tell you why I said yes. The only thing I could think of is my background is he chose me. He chose me. He wanted me. He asked me. So I definitely had to say yes. I wanted to say yes. I didn't even think it through. I didn't even ask why. I don't think I asked no questions at all. Who does that? I don't know who would do something like that. I don't know what type of heart would do that. I don't know what type of man would do that. I don't even know what little girl would say yes to something like that. I was just going through the motions and I just said yeah. And we made it happen too. I actually got pregnant with my first daughter. How did I feel during the pregnancy? I actually have to ask myself questions because I'm just like, I can't even connect to it spiritually. I didn't have any feelings. Feelings was numb. I remember like talking to my family about it, and it was so much commotion and drama going on about it because I was so young and I had just got on birth control pills. And I just remember everybody made a fuss about it. Everybody had something to say. And I didn't even care what they said. I didn't even think about the kind of mother I was going to be. I didn't even have a nurturing, natural mothering thing in me for a child. And I was just pregnant. And I was just thinking about, man, I'm gonna have some days out of school. I ain't gonna have to go to school. I'm gonna have some days out of school. And I never even like pictured like how my child would look. I even remember on Facebook when I did the little profile thing way back in the day, I had put my daughter's picture on there and I put my prize. I put my prize because of her. I got him because of her. My life changed because of her. I get a chance to detach from what I know and from my family. It was like she was the prize to get me out of everything that I was in, including school. It was just like she was the prize. She is the child that helped me start something new. That's one thing I
But I
remember
want to
feeling.
feel love because during that stage of my life, I was just coming out of a place of darkness and feeling unwanted, feeling rejected. And what I mean is females ain't really won't be like that. You know what I mean? And at an early age, 'cause some people might be looking at this like, I ain't talking about girls anyway, because that's was a part of me. That was really something that I identified to the opposite sex, being in the company of the opposite sex and conversating and smiling, even at a young age. And I wanted that, but I ain't want just a one night stand. I ain't just want no hit it and quit it. I ain't wanted love. I wanted love. I wanted what I felt by my parents, but what I was not getting from the world. And I remember being talked about growing up, Tad Tongue, Scarface, and maybe 2 years before I met Aisha, that's when I broke out of it. So 2 years between from 15 to 13, when I was called so many bad names, talked about so horribly, I felt myself. No, I can't. I'd be lying because at 15 I still ain't found myself even saying how my baby. But I was at a place where I was wanted. I had options. I had choices, and I took advantage of everything. I mean, and this ain't a good thing right here. This ain't a good thing. The way I was treated, I put it on other people. I suppressed my own feelings, and then in return, with young ladies that came in my presence, I kind of took advantage of the opportunity. And I said it because it was just about sex at that time. It was just about, I'm a kid. I just want to have fun. And if you're grown watching this, you can relate because sometimes grown people act like child still. But I was a child, just wanted to have fun. And with them 2 years from me being talked about really bad that damaged my self-esteem, to give me insecurities, things of that nature, to break out of it, to just do everything underneath the sun to find somebody, and then to find that person, to find a good thing. And I wasn't that smart at 15. I was pretty wise, but I wasn't that smart. So when I say to find a good thing, I mean just that I found somebody that I'm just connected to, like I can't explain. It's gonna take, oh, we doing 3 seasons, by the way. This season 1, we doing 3 seasons, by the way. But in this first season of my life, I would like to say, I knew I found love.
I remember feeling the whole time I was pregnant. And even when I had her, I didn't think about what this was going to be, how big it was going to be. And I still had that anger inside of me. I still had that numbness. And I was really out of it, y'all. I wish I could tell y'all something more. I don't know. I remember when I saw her, though, I looked at her and she looked just like him. That's one thing I do know. I was like, wow, this baby looked just like me. She just chocolate like me. And she was a crybaby. She was a crybaby. And I remember bringing her home, and everybody was excited then. So everybody who felt some kind of way, all that changed once I brought the baby home. And I even remember when I brought her home, I gave it to my mother and got dressed and went to Toys R Us to go shopping. Because it was around Christmas time. It's time to get the gifts. So, and I got sick too because I did that. I had a setback out this world trying to be grown. And my mom kept telling me, don't go out there. You're going to get sick. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. And I moved too quick. But that's why day one said, I want to go fast. So that makes sense. So I went out and I shopped for her. We bought her so much stuff. And we brought everything back. And I didn't really feel much of a difference because my parents helped out so much because they had her all the time. And they had her spoiled. And he had her spoiled. Everybody spoiled her. So I didn't really get a chance to be that mother and that parent, probably like a lot of other women experience. I had so much help. And when I was tired, all I had to do was just take it to the room, get to my parents. So we was growing up together. My daughter was more like my sister, like another little sister. And we was growing up together. And she was just a calm, cool little girl. She, besides her whining when she wants something, but other than that, she was just calm and cool. She was a princess. She, whatever a princess is in your head, that's what she was. She had everything, and she had all the love that she can get. And I just looked at her more than anything. I just kept watching her, just kept looking at her. I remember her birthday party we had for her, and we had bought her everything in the world. And she was sitting up in her little chair like a princess. And she was just looking at everybody, just looking. And she just had something about her. And I would call it self-worth. I would call it confidence today. But it was just something about her. Like all the other little kids be playing. She was a woman. She was a woman as a kid. She was a woman. And I saw that in her. But I really didn't get a chance to understand my parenting with her until I left home. And that's when I got more of that one-on-one type parenting. And I learned a lot about myself during those times too. So it was easy. I hate to say it was easy, but it was easy. It was easier than what I thought. And I can't complain, to be honest, as a parent during that time and by me being so young. And I was out of school, and then I tried to go back to school, and my dad was keeping her while I went back to school, and still trying to find out what I want to do, still trying to find myself. And I just kind of lost my way when it came to dreams and independence and what I want to become. I was blank minded. I still think, just like day one, I'm going to go with the same thing for day two. I really did not know what was going on. I'm so detached from reality. But being a parent, I'm thankful and I'm grateful for it. But I always felt like I did this for you. I did this for Curtis. I gave you your child. And I never got a chance to have the feeling of I had this child for me until I left home. So that was that's another day. But once I got a chance to have my own home, separate from everybody else, then parenting really, really set in. But in the beginning, I think it was just an experience of trial and error. It was just an experience of watching this little person that come out of me just grow and grow and grow. I mean, it was really like, how can I tell you? I used to be in love with a Cabbage Patch Kid. I called her. Well, her name was Octavia because she came on birth certificate. Her name was Octavia. And that's who my daughter was to me in a way. It was like looking at Octavia. The Cabbage Patch is growing right before my eyes. And I observed her more than I parent her in the very beginning. So parenting for me was not that bad. I was just watching her and watching everything around it. So I wish I had more in the booth. But my beginning of parenting was it was very quiet for me as a mother. And I know people sometimes talk about postpartum and all these different things that they go through. I could have been going through that. I don't even know it. But I was just watching this little beautiful girl with so much confidence just grow up. And I admire her like she was my little sister. I am so serious. And as far as co-parenting, it wasn't that hard at all because he asked for her, he wanted her, and he did everything in the world to take care of her. No matter what it take, he did it. He did everything. He was great father. And you can tell how much he really wanted a child. I still never understood why he did that completely. He says it, but I still don't understand it. But he kept his word. And he was definitely a great father during that time. And that's my story.
But anyway, she said yes. She gave me her birth control pills as a present for Christmas, and it was an awesome feeling. And I knew that I loved her. I knew that I loved her. What is love? What is love? I think we still asking ourselves that question at this stage of life in 2020. And for love for me back in 1993 was she cared enough to make a sacrifice. And the crazy part about it, she's still the same way. She's crazy enough to still make a sacrifice. But this is why I wanted this, because I knew what was to come before I can even put a face to it. I remember Danielle, my oldest, the one with the little hat on right there. I remember her coming out, and I remember her looking just like me. I remember talking to my sister. My sister was like, I was like, man, Angie, when my daughter was born, Danielle, I'm like, man, Angie, talk to my sister. I said, she looked just like me. My sister was like, hey, she can't look like you like that. Ain't no kid gonna just come out looking like people like that. Period. I don't care who you is. And then my sister seen her like, Curtis, she looked just like you. She looked just like you. And it went with my bloodline. It went with what I was raised. It went with what I already knew. It went with my identity. It just went with what I knew, what was inside of me. Even at 15, I knew. I didn't know everything, but I knew where I came from and who was bringing me up. I knew my parents, I knew my uncles, my aunties. I knew what they said, and I knew what they meant, what they said, and I just knew the love, the knowledge, the wisdom that they brought upon my blood. So I thank God for the blood. Think about Jesus, right? The blood. But the blood of who I was. And when I saw my daughter's face, I said, she got the blood. And I knew that it wasn't in vain. I ain't glorifying it, especially me being 15, Aisha being 14. I'm not glorifying it. But what I can say, all things really do work together for good. I can say that. For those that love God and are called according to his purpose, I can say that because I knew that even at a young age, I ain't know God like that. I grew up in church, but I ain't know God like that. But I knew that this is who I was. I knew I was a father. And then kind of found out I was a husband. And if I could say this before I close out, as being a parent, right? We do things out of order. I did things out of order. I can't talk about you. This is my booth. But I think I did things out of order. I multiplied before I was fruitful. I did everything for Danielle, everything that I could possibly do. But it wasn't fruitful in the spiritual term because I did it out of emotions versus out of knowledge of, okay, Curtis, do this for yourself, then do this for what you're trying to bring up, which is a child. And I believe in return, my daughter had more struggles than what was needed, which was predestined, because I did things out of order. But yet and still, all things really do work together. And she was my everything. She still is my everything. She's my baby girl. I get all my kids, but she's still my baby girl because she was the first. It's just what it is. She was the first. She allowed me to learn. She allowed me, being a parent, right? At 15, no, I'm sorry, she was 16. I was 16, I'm sorry, when she was born. And that's a young age. That's a young age. But we was raised together, basically. I learned off of her. I learned off of her. When I mean her, I learned off of being conscious that you have a life that you're responsible of. So in return, be very, very conscious of this life. Everything else don't matter like that. No matter whoever, it don't matter like that because you chose this life to be responsible for. So in return, be conscious of how you live your life. In return, you give her a chance to live her life. So as a parent, that's how I as a young parent, I believe that's how I live my life. In return, I parent in a certain way. I wasn't perfect. Looking back 20 years later, or 26 years now, looking back, I wasn't perfect. But I can't say I did my best. And I can say she felt my love. She felt my love. But hey, day two, what you gonna do? You know, even what we did on day one, meaning have my baby, that's something special. I mean that's a gift like no other. That's one of the truest gifts of God, truest blessings of God, to be responsible for God's child, God's gift. And that's the same thing with Mary, Jesus' mother. The angel came to her and said, hey, you are blessed and highly favored. You are about to bear the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And a similar thing happened with her cousin Elizabeth. They like, hey, you're about to bless a mighty man named John. He's going to usher in the way of our Savior. And I remember in the story when Mary went to go visit her cousin Elizabeth. See, Elizabeth was already 6 months pregnant with John, and Mary just got consumed by the Spirit to be pregnant. And all that being said, when Mary met her cousin, without them saying anything to each other, they womb jumped. I will say it again, they womb jumped. And that's how it was when I met my wife, Aisha. My womb jumped. Even though I ain't carrying no baby, but I was carrying a promise. I was carrying a purpose, and my womb jumped. And I would like to believe she was the same way. you know, to a certain degree, of course. But when it comes to the spiritual side of all of this, you know when something right. You know when your womb jump. You know when your heart jump. You know when your soul jump. You know when your spirit jump. And you can't deny that. You can't deny that connection with the other person. We so often try it, and so often things get tainted in the process of it. But the facts are the facts. You know the Bible says itself, a spirit will recognize a spirit. So when anytime your womb jump, that inner man, that inner woman, that purpose, once again, that identity, when that womb jump, you gotta follow that. Because that's what God is taking you. That's what God has anointed your feet to be. That's what God got your promise at. That's what God got your destiny mixed in at. That womb jump. So on day 2, have my baby. It was about that womb being jumped. And I just knew that she was the one to bear my seed. I knew that she was the one to make sure that not only she bear my seed, but she nurtured that seed. She helped that seed grow. So, hey, have my baby. God bless. You know when I actually got a real laugh. That's when she got a real laugh.
That's not true.
Other than that, she's being sarcastic.
I am.
Day 2. What you gonna do? Why did I have my baby? Tell me about your check-in. I said check-in. Tell me about your experience with this check-in.
30 hertz straight up.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was more that was gonna come out.
Okay.
It wasn't nothing more.
Okay.
It was what it was.
Are you cool? Okay, it was what it was. So are you cool with what it was?
I have to be.
Well, that's it then.
I have to be.
That's it. And for myself, it was what it was as well. Very confident. Once again, we was kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even with trying to pre-plan it, even though we're flowing with it, but mentally we're trying to, how we gonna do this? How we gonna do that? But to talk it out, to relive these moments, it's like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, man. And one thing I said, which I know you'll be watching later once we start editing everything, I said that all things work together. And looking back 21 or 26 years.
You know you said that a lot, right?
I'm positive, I'm sure. Yeah. And I look at it like that because I knew what I wanted. Timing is one thing, but I knew what I wanted, even at that time. And he gave me that gift. And it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yes. And I won't go back because we have raised a beautiful daughter to be so responsible, to be so strong-minded, to be so independent, to be so loving, God-fearing, so spiritually connected that I believe that God really blessed us because she's spiritually connected in ways that we could not have gave her. You know what I mean?
100%.
So,
I agree 100%.
we could have not gave her that.
Yeah.
We just couldn't have because we wasn't there.
I think God raised that baby.
Yeah, I think he did.
For me, he did.
And I had 2 grandboys from her.
Yeah.
That alone, man. Yes, I thank God. I asked you to have my baby. Tony,
did.
I thank God that I asked her to have my baby.
Why in the world? Why in the world? That is one thing. Why in the world did I say yes? I still can't tell you why I said yes.
It don't matter.
Well, that was amazing. I enjoyed my first 2 days. Has been kicking my butt. Yeah, I'm definitely going through some therapy and reflection. But it's good stuff, though.
It's good stuff.
It is what it is. We say it's gonna keep it real, right?
Keep it 100. Peace.